Canada is at a pivotal juncture, at the center of a crisis that threatens to reverberate across the country. The fields of canola, which were once the source of pride and prosperity, are now idle in storage, untouched, as farmers stand helpless witness to their livelihoods in limbo. The pressure's unsustainable, the stakes monumental, and on everyone's lips is whether time will bring hope to rescue them. Then a lifeline, the words of Rick White, President and CEO of the Canadian Canola Growers Association.
Anytime China talks, and our federal government talks with China about the canola situation with the tariffs on seed and the tariffs on oil and meal, which has stopped canola trade of canola to China completely. Anytime they're talking is good.
Those words, unadorned but powerful, suggest a singular moment of possibility, a chance to break everything open for Canadian farmers. But the pressure is enormous. Each delay, each political calculation, each hesitation threatens to send shockwaves through communities, industries, and families who depend on these crops. This is not trade. It is survival. Ottawa's actions will not only decide if markets reopen, but if hope and opportunity are restored to those who have waited far too long. Time is running out, and each choice has implications that might define Canada's farm economy for decades. Will Canada take this opportunity, or will hesitation turn a possible salvation into just another disappointment? The outcome is unwinding now, and the country waits with bated breath. The implications of halted trade are not far away anymore. They are being experienced in every part of Canada's heartland. Farmers stand in their canola fields, harvests complete, but their bins sit full and empty at the same time, full of crops they cannot sell, empty of the income they desperately need. Rick White, speaking for the Canadian Canola Growers Association, paints the picture bluntly.
Farmers are experiencing very low prices right now, and nothing is going to China, so the price is depressed.
Those are not figures or statistics. They are families, livelihoods, and communities stretched to the breaking point. Picture the anxiety, the unspoken despair, as month after month of work goes unrewarded and the proud pulse of Canada's farm economy stutters under the strain of politics far from the prairies. Each day that goes by tightens the squeeze, and the uncertainty eats away at hope. And in that desperation, the glimmer of possibility is there. If choices are made quickly, the market might reopen, providing farmers their lifeline. But competing interests are big. The world is waiting, and Ottawa's indecision might cost another year of hardship, missed opportunity, and families footing the bill for a fight they do not have to fight. The stakes are never higher, and as the crisis plays out, with each passing moment Canadians are left to wonder, will leadership answer the challenge? Or will ambiguity let this crisis deepen further? The response is essential, and the country holds its breath, waiting for the path that can bring hope to farmers who have borne the burden of this trade dispute long enough. The tension rises as the canola industry steps into the corridors of power, demanding attention for the farmers who have borne the brunt of stalled trade. Months of uncertainty have built frustration, and the pressure to act is immense. Rick White recalls a pivotal moment.
We did meet with Prime Minister Carney, the canola industry, including our organization representing farmers. That was back on September 17th, and we talked about, we know what the problem with China was, and it was triggered by the EV tariffs. Our advice to the Prime Minister, though, is that we want to see canola tariffs removed.
Those words are urgent, heavy with importance, and unambiguous in demand, an appeal for action from the very center of the farm community. Behind every number and policy argument stand families working to keep their heads above water, communities whose very incomes depend on it, and the specter of whether Ottawa will move before it's too late. Each political calculation a possible turning point. Each pause extends the uncertainty across the prairies like a storm cloud. The voices of the farmers are no longer whispers. They are cries for urgent action, demanding that the policies that will determine their future actually capture the true cost of inaction. And yet, there are still barriers, as interests converge in the shadows to halt progress. The country waits while the stakes grow higher. Will leadership respond to these imperative demands and rebuild opportunity? Or will indecision deepen the crisis, with communities forced to suffer for circumstances not of their choosing? Each second matters, and the result of these talks could determine Canadian agriculture's future for years to come. So this is a tale of survival, strategy, and the battle to take back what has been unfairly taken from those who need it most. Amidst the heated argument over trade, industry tensions come into clear focus. The canola farmers struggle to stay alive, but they are not alone in determining Canada's destiny. The automobile industry, concerned with defending local car manufacturers, enters the debate with a strong voice. Rick White draws attention to the conflict of interest.
Now, the Canadian auto sector has called for these tariffs to remain in place to protect Canada's car makers. Ontario Premier Doug Ford says removing them would go against efforts to protect the auto sector.
The language signals a bitter struggle between dueling interests, one advocating relief for farmers, the other protecting manufacturing jobs. The stakes are enormous, and the pressure builds with each new day. Families, communities, and industries all bear the brunt of choices that could reverberate across the country for decades. Every political step, every negotiation, has repercussions that stretch far beyond Ottawa's boardrooms. The tension is not theoretical. It is palpable, cutting across fields, factories, and kitchens, keeping Canadians on the edge of their seats for answers. The future of power, markets, and millions of livelihoods are at stake. And the question remains, will there be compromise, or will confrontation between competing interests keep both sides waiting and the farmers footing the ultimate bill? Each passing minute in this developing story moves the narrative closer to a watershed moment, a decision that will determine Canada's economy, sectors, and families for generations to come. As the stakes become higher, the farmer's voice becomes increasingly impossible to deny. After months of doubt, stalling, and political gamesmanship, the message is clear. Rick White drives it home with unshakable resolve.
Well, our response is simply we want the tariffs on canola removed, all of them, to China.
These are not just words. They are a call to action, a cry for justice, and a battle cry for an industry that has been at the mercy of forces beyond its control for far too long. The pressure that has grown across sectors, workplaces, and boardrooms now comes to a head, compelling all stakeholders to face the costs of their decisions. The time is decisive. Will Canada choose resolutely to revive opportunity, stabilize markets, and respect the livelihoods of those who nourish the country? Or will indecision prolong the crisis, exacerbating economic and social tension? The response will resonate throughout the nation, building communities, industries, and futures for decades to come. Each choice, each action, now weighs generations. The voice of the farmers is not unclear, the need is not in doubt, and the course of action is not uncertain. Canada needs to take back control, lift restrictions, and resume trade. The country waits, the world waits, and the consequence of this momentous decision will determine the narrative of Canadian agriculture, leadership, and determination for generations to come. The stakes have never been greater, and Canada's farmers, communities, and industries are hanging in the balance. Each choice made in Ottawa today will cascade across the country, impacting livelihoods and determining the country's economic future for generations to come. This is not policy. It's about courage, leadership, and making change when the stakes are millions. Canadians are waiting, the world is waiting, and the time is now. Get informed, get involved, and demand that decisions prioritize Canadians. Subscribe Canada Vault, stay close to the story, and be a part of the discussion because this is a turning point, a moment where action, strategy, and leadership will make history. Don't just observe this turning point. Comprehend it, post it, and ensure your voice is part of the future Canada builds.